Hey guys, welcome to episode number 22 of the Wakefield to Knottingley route builder series. Today we're going to take an easy one. We're going to do a drive on the route from Wakefield Kirkgate right through to Knottingley. We've got scenery, at least in basic form, right through to Knottingley West Junction now. So we've got scenery more or less complete in most places through to Pontefract Monkill. And then we've got basically a section where it's just scenery next to the track that's done. There are still some gaps, but I felt it'd be sensible to show how it's looking from a cab view point of view. So we've got an HSC on. We're just approaching Wakefield Kirkgate, having come down the line from Westgate, pretending it's just a diverted service going this way to King's Cross. So we're just heading down the hill as we go down here into Kirkgate Station. Speed sign on the left does say 40, but as you can see on the HUD, this curve is actually 25 mph curve, as I said in the last episode, I think it was. These are all 25 mph curves. That 40 sign is actually applying to if you're going basically on the main lines, and it's there in real life, but it's really randomly placed because it should say 25 by rights. But anyway, one of the little quirks that you have to look out for when you're driving this route, I'm sure somebody will send a bug request in saying that it's all wrong, because that's how TS is. So we're just coming in through Kirkgate. We're going down platform 3, so we're going down the back of the station. There's a little bit of an issue with the speed signs down after Kirkgate, where it should clear to 50, but it doesn't because I've messed up on a crossover, which I should have fixed before I recorded this, but I didn't, so bad mark. So we've just gone through Kirkgate there. And these crossings that you see, you've got the first crossing here, and I believe all these crossings and footpaths and stuff that they have around Kirkgate are for DB loco crews. When they're based on the little hut at the side of the station there, they're there for them to use as the official walking route. It carries on down the side of behind this fence here, where the disused sidings are, and then there's another foot crossing just coming up. So we're going around the curve now. This is onto the Wakefield to Knottingley line proper. We've just come around the curve at, well, coming around Calderbridge Junction is where we're going around at the minute. So as we come around Calderbridge Junction, you've got the line there on the left that's joining in from Turner's Lane Junction, and that's the line basically if you were coming from Leeds or Normanton. Basically it's just freight only, I believe, these days, and no actual book passenger services. There was, in one of my working timetables, there was one or two in years gone by. I think there was just one went that way, actually went all the way around to Goole, I believe it was, which was a bit crazy because it managed to cut out Wakefield, but I think there's only one of my timetables I can find that, and no doubt it was in others, but it's only one of the ones I own. But yeah, that's a freight owner line drawn on the left there. Old buffer stops there as we now cross the River Calder, and this is where it should change to 50 as the train has cleared the junction at Calder, the curve at West at Kirkgate, and now we head up this climb towards Oakenshaw. So the line speed then drops back to 20 because there's a fairly sharp curve as we go around, and then there's a set of points and stuff on there, so it drops back to 20. And the site on the left is where Wakefield Steam Shed used to be. The gradient eases as we get up here. It drops back to a fair level gradient as we go over the bridge, but then it starts again after Oakenshaw Cutting. Climbs quite steeply to Charleston Summit. Still not sure really why this is so low of a speed limit. You would have thought this could be 25 these days, when you consider the fact that Kirkgate's a sharper curve than this and it's 25. So on the left you got the first gap in scenery. This is just as you're coming out of Wakefield. Heath Common. I need to finish this bit. We'll obviously get done in due course. So now we're coming up through Oakenshaw Cutting, which is pretty well known. It's pretty well known for photographers because it's one of the main sort of locations in Wakefield for people to grab photos. It's also one of the busiest places for freight in Wakefield because you get all the freight that's going towards Doncaster, such as intermodals to Felixstowe, stuff like that. And you also get the stuff that's going to Drax, like biomass trains, and various other freight that goes this way. So you do get a fair bit of freight if you're looking for somewhere to go and see your freight. Word of note is that if you notice, if you're watching this, that from episode 20, this has got a lot more stuttering. I don't know what's going on with my train sim, but if you watch episode 20 back, you'll see there wasn't any stuttering, and that was last week. The scenery around here hasn't changed. There's new bits of scenery on the further bit as we go towards Knottingley, but this hasn't changed, so I don't know what's going on with my TS. It has basically, the train sim's decided to uninstall itself, so I'm having to launch it from the directory rather than from the actual Steam library at the minute, so it's taken off my 30 FPS lock and stuff like that, so it's probably made it a bit more generally unstable. So I don't need to sort that. That's the Midland Main Line, the old Midland Main Line going over the top of us there as we now go around Crofton West Junction. So that line that goes over the top on that bridge we just passed, that will be included. That's going to be the Monk Breton branch, so you'll be able to drive that route from Knottingley through to Monk Breton. And from here at Crofton East Junction to Monk Breton is a distance of about 8 miles. So it'll give a good chunk of route there. As I said, that's the former Midland Main Line. So where that used to go is it used to connect from Goose Hill Junction at Normanton, come over here, and then it used to go through to Waff Road Junction at Swinton, and it used to join the Swinton and Knottingley line there. These days obviously it cuts off at Monk Breton. You can see we're now approaching Crofton East Junction. The Monk Breton branch is over there on the left, coming across. It's gone around, not actually climbed, it's sort of level we've climbed to Crofton East Junction. So this is where Crofton Depot, formerly Crofton Track Works, is. These days quite a lot goes on in there. There's the Grand Central units and various other things. EMR have some stuff going on there. They've had their 180s and stuff coming off there recently, and a 170 as well. They've been doing some paint work. So when the new EMR livery's been applied, it's been getting applied there. So that could make for some interesting scenarios, possibly one day. Although I'd need to kind of extend the route southwards, I think, in the matter of that. So, stupid thing to say, because there's no plans for that just yet. Next few weeks I'm going to be adding in Ferrybridge Power Station and the line associated with that. So when we lay the track for that, I might well video it. I'm not sure yet because of how complicated it's going to be, knowing how long it took to do Trent, Ratcliffe on Trent for Midland Main Line. I'm not sure it can be done in one video. So we're going around the curves just after Crofton now up towards Charleston Summit. The summit's just at the top of this cutting. Some lovely farmers' fields and stuff that we go past here. And there's actually no fencing or anything at the side of the track. Even today there's no fencing there, so it's a rare piece of scenery, a rare piece of railway in the UK where there's no line-side fencing at all. Not many places like that. There is now on the side there. Both sides you've got fences now, but you'll go from no fencing to slight fencing and then to palisade fencing down here in the space of about half a mile. It's crazy. So that's the summit we've just gone over. And we'll cruise down now. We'll just let the power off, and we'll drop quite steeply again, 1 in 150 towards Street House Station. First of all, got the old station at Street House here, and the old platform that's remaining. There used to be one on this side as well, staggered, but obviously that's been completely removed these days. And this is where there is one of the gaps in scenery. So this is a gap where the village of Street House will be when I do it. Now I will get this foot crossing right this time. I think it's Red Lane. Pretty sure it's Red Lane. I've given it Cow Lane, and at one point I gave it England Lane, which is Knottingley. It's Red Lane. If it's not Red Lane, then bad mark, and I'll probably should never do a video again and all that. So that's Street House Station site there. So we need to actually put that in, but it's going to have to be a custom because of the wooden stilt platform sort of thing. So quite a lot of the platforms around here have that feature. Featherstone will need one because it's got the same feature, but it's also got a subway that goes onto the level crossing at Featherstone, which I'm going to try and get in a custom asset, but no guarantees there because for a freeware route that's quite an intricate detail, and bearing in mind that we're relying on people's free time to do these assets, and I don't want to take the mick. And especially as working in the industry, I kind of understand that if you start putting thousands of freeware assets in a freeware route, you know, you're kidding yourself if you don't think it should be a payware route at that point, unless you're basically cheating yourself out of money because it should be a payware route. So I don't quite go to town in terms of all the custom assets that I would if it was a payware route. Mainly because I don't have the skills to do the assets, and I rely on people's kindness to actually do them for me. I have had a go actually at making some 3D stuff in the last couple of weeks and made fairly good progress, but I just can't get my head around like UV maps and stuff like that and actually getting the thing in game. Maybe I will in one day, but for me it's route building what I need to really keep doing. One of those things, I'll come back to it and maybe make a bit more progress. It's no good doing it when you get burnt out. So this is Featherstone we're coming up into now. So we've gone through Snidel there, we're on the climb again now, back towards Pontefract. And this is where Featherstone Station is going to be on the curve. Staggered platforms here, so the platform for the other side to Wakefield will be on the right just about here. And then the platform in this direction is just after the crossing on the left. Again, needs a custom asset because that's what I call a floating platform on wooden stilts. Again, opened in 1992. So the reason I'm driving this is actually an LNE RHST I'm driving. You can just see, actually breaking off, you can just see now the chimneys of Ferry Ridge Power Station have finally come into view as a point of interest. So I love that as you come around the curve there, you get your first glimpse, as you do in real life, of Ferry Ridge Power Station. Just coming up towards the summit. But yeah, the reason I'm driving LNE RHST is that this is traditionally the diversionary route for Leeds to King's Cross services. And not so much these days because they like to go Hambleton a lot more, but they still do send a couple of services this way. I think it's 1D36 on a night, the 23, it used to be the 23:30, I don't know if it still is, off King's Cross to Leeds. That comes this way about 1:30 in the morning most days, and has done for a long time. The empty stock for the Hull Executive used to go this way and then turn across the Askerton branch to Doncaster, and then to Hull in both directions, but obviously the stock for that now comes off Doncaster IEP depot, so it doesn't actually come this way anymore. But yeah, the diversionary route, if it were engineering work between, say, Wakefield Westgate and Doncaster, they used to go Leeds, Wakefield Westgate, then down to Kirkgate as we did, and then this way to Knottingley, and then across the Askerton branch to Charleston Junction and into Doncaster from the north side, rather than just straight in from Marshgate. So this is where we'll see another gap in scenery, and from here it is very much sort of early work in progress. This is the end of the sort of wider scenery. From here it's closed in, there's not as much done, although all the sort of close-up scenery has been more or less completed. You see the 30-mile-an-hour limit there at Pontefract Monkhill coming up. So used to just using the second names of these stations rather than the first. The Pontefract's actually got 3 stations these days. It's got Pontefract Tanshelf, Pontefract, which is just here. This is where Tanshelf will be, and there's a load of complicated road bridges that need to go in here, so that's why there's nothing here. And you've got Monkhill, which is the one we're coming up to in about half a mile, and then you've also got Pontefract Baghill, which is on the Swinton and Nottingham line. Only sees a couple of trains a day, that one, that it gets the York to Sheffield services. And again, this bit's basic at the minute. We've not really got much going on as yet. So it's 30-mile-an-hour limit as you're coming across these crossovers. Not quite sure why it's 30 in this direction, to be honest, on the main line. I guess it is because of the crossovers. It's the only reason I can think of. But in both directions it's 30 through Pontefract Monkhill station. It's only a short restriction for less than a quarter of a mile. Monkhill station area itself, more or less done, apart from we ain't got the signage and the footbridge. We need a custom footbridge for this. Most of the custom assets for this route will be specific bridges that we can't do and station assets. And the ones that can't be recreated. So I'm not going to do it like change the platforms and stuff here. We're just getting the signage and the footbridge in. Once again, I refer you to my point about it being a freeware route. If you were doing a payware route, obviously you'd budget to do the entire thing as a custom asset. So we're coming off that 30 limit. The former goods loop on the left there, it's really overgrown, and then there's a side on the right. Obviously this is where there was a lot of coal stuff going on back in the day. and Ferrybridge now looming large on the left hand side. We're into the last mile and a half of our little journey here. Obviously when the route comes out version 1 you'll be able to do these services right round from Leeds via Castleford, and obviously be able to do the Wakefield to Knottingley ones as well. As I said before, version 1 not looking to include the section to Leeds via Outwood from Westcott, because it's already been done in Leeds lines for 1, but 2, I think people would rather me get on with the main focus of the route, which is Leeds to Manchester obviously. So we get this bit out of the way, version 1, and then the focus will turn to finishing the Leeds to Manchester stuff. Although we're hoping that Tom will be able to help out there and sort of speed things up a bit. Don't know why I'm going so slow, it's 50 here. But you can see it's very basic scenery. What I've done is I've concentrated here on getting the stuff, the foliage, absolutely as close to real as I can, as close to the real sort of look in terms of how much there is. And then what I've done is I've got all the trackside plots, so all your drains, I've got a drain there through a cable trunking, which I shouldn't have done. But yeah, I've put all the trackside detail in. And now I've got the task of actually going back and putting all the distance scenery in, which will probably be the longest task. And there's a break in the track here, so we're going to end up with a derailment if I don't get the train stopped. Not quite sure why there's a break in the track. Wasn't there before, but it's there now. Obviously I must have used the cut tool, and that's why you got to be careful. We'll get out of the cab. I've obviously used the cut tool there somewhere. There it is. At some point, and I've managed to undo the track, and that can be one for the bloopers video. Well done, Mark, great work. Well, you can see what we've been driving anyway. Should we get a screenshot? So we've been driving HST through here. Not exactly where I would have wanted to take my screenshot. I would have liked one bit further back up the route where it was, fully finished, but we can get one anyway. So this curve down to the left, that goes down to Ferrybridge Power Station, well, Ferrybridge North Junction, and then you would join the power station line if you wanted to go that way. So where the coal trains would have gone into Ferrybridge, which is there. Completely blank scenery over there. You can see what I mean about sort of half finished. It's just the close-up stuff. You got these bridges worth paying to do. You got the M62 and the A1M, the new section of the A1 that they put in about 15 years ago. So yeah, you come down here, and then this is the section where about as far as scenery goes. Is we've got it into Knottingley Station almost. It's just Knottingley West Junction where I'm stopping at the minute. I'm going to go back and finishing everything up to this point, and making sure that it's all sorted up to this point before we go and tackle Knottingley, because that'll be a lot of work down there. This was a lot of work. This has taken sort of all week for me to finish this bit. This is the section with the line underneath going to Swinton. So you carry on that way, you get to Moorthorpe and Swinton, and then you got the line, as I said, into Knottingley, and then you got the other curve off Ferrybridge North Junction on the far side of the triangle. I've tried to create a nice little scene here, with the gardens and everything. I'm really hoping to see some screenshots once this route is released eventually. It's not good at me because it needs the houses on top of there. I'm hoping to see screenshots of people putting trains under here and then over the top as well, and that'll look really cool. This hasn't got any trackside detail on it yet. I can't actually find any cab rides of that line, so might have to just do basic stuff on there. Every other piece of clutter is essentially done using videos. That's the old A1, so that's the A162, but that is the original Great North Road going under there. But you get the gist of it. As we come down to Knottingley West Junction, got some signal cable on the left here, which is there in real life, just snaking about. And then you got the, as I said, the West Junction here. So that's the curve. This would take you back to Ferrybridge North Junction, and would also eventually take you to Milford Junction or the power station, or wherever you wanted to go. Old Ferrybridge depot down on the right as well, further on. So yeah, that's a little bit of a progress update for you. That's the drive along the route. So it's the first drive I've actually done on it. So I hope you've enjoyed your little drive there. I've not enjoyed finding that track break. I'm now going to go and fix that, but I'll do that outside the episode. Cheers for watching, guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you later. Goodbye.